views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, welcome to Open, the show opening the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I am Daren Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll discuss new laws in New York City with attorney and host of today's verdict, David Lesch. Afterwards, career strategist Elizabeth Koraca will teach us the importance of goal setting in your career. And the plastic ban law will soon be in effect. We're going to learn how the ban will affect our community. And then we'll also sit down with the program director of Advance and Earn program that provides life-changing opportunities for youth. And then after that, the vice president of Women in Need will discuss the homelessness crisis that's happening right here in our city. And then we're also going to meet the owner of CB Health and Wellness, discussing how people can live a healthier lifestyle through what's known as a plant-based diet. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, January 22nd, and you're now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on through the past week. We'll take you through them now with some Bronx updates. Well, Bronxites celebrate the opening of the Tres Puentes Community Health Center. The center offers primary care for adults, children, and seniors, along with foot care, nutrition, as well as social services and on-site lab services. Our BronxNet reporter Stephen Powell was on the scene, and he brings us our story right now.
Urban Health Plans celebrated the grand opening of their new facility, Tres Puentes Community Health Center, located in the South Bronx. As site manager Jeanette Melendez highlighted some of the services offered by the center.
At this center, we'll be providing primary care for adults, seniors, and pediatric, as well as foot care, nutrition, and social services.
Dr. Richard Torres, Associate Medical Director for Community Public Health, shared an important message with Bronx residents concerned about being denied medical services due to a lack of health insurance.
We see everyone. We have a sliding scale fee so that if they're uninsured, one thing we do is we try to get them health insurance, but if they're not able to get it at this point in time, there is a sliding scale with a minimum fee, which at this time is $15. We do not turn away any patients.
Dr. Torres and Jeanette Melendez spoke about the health disparities faced by residents of the Bronx compared to residents living in other boroughs, and emphasized the importance of the Tres Puentes Community Health Center in addressing those various health concerns.
More so than other boroughs in New York City, the Bronx has one of the highest rates of asthma, one of the highest rates of diabetes. Obesity is epidemic. There's a lot of mental health and behavioral health conditions in the Bronx.
South Bronx tends to have a high population for diabetes and asthma, as well as hypertension.
The Tres Puentes Community Health Center marks the 11th medical facility opened by Urban Health Plan, who remain committed to providing quality, affordable, and comprehensive health care to the residents of the Bronx. Reporting for BronxNet, Stephen Powell.
And thank you, Stephen. El Maestro has organized a Puerto Rico earthquake relief drive in the wake of a 6.4 deadly magnitude quake striking the island on Tuesday, January the 7th. The earthquake caused blackouts, destroying buildings and towns, primarily along the southern coastline, just miles from the epicenter. According to the United States Geological Survey, since December 28th, over 500 tremors and earthquakes combined have occurred. Our Bronx Net reporter Arlene Makoko brings us more details about the drive.
They wasted no time in collecting canned foods and other emergency relief items just days after a deadly 6.4 magnitude earthquake rattled Puerto Rico on Tuesday, January 7th, causing power outages and destroying buildings. Setting up boxes for donations 4 days later, as aftershocks continued, were volunteers here at El Maestro's Boxing Club on Southern Boulevard. They were guided by founding owner Fernando Ponce Laspina, who opened his doors to help his friends and neighbors to the south.
Our effort, it goes door to door.
Joined by New York State Assembly member Michael Blake Laspina, who expressed frustration over relief aid never getting to those who needed it most in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, says he is sending directly to grassroots leaders that are ready to go to work.
We already have people waiting in Puerto Rico for it, and they're going to make sure that the families get this, that it gets there.
I'm flying down tonight. We have a few of our team members down there. Assemblywoman Maritza Davila is there right now.
Assemblymember Blake, whose district covers El Maestro's, praised Laspina for his work and shared he's joining a team that includes New York State Assemblymember Maritza Davila from Brooklyn, there to assess the impact of the over 500 tremors and earthquakes since December 28th, according to the USGS.
She had a 15-car caravan in Ponce today. And she was on the road when the tremors were happening.
What's needed is almost everything. This is a literal disaster for those people.
Meanwhile, volunteers like Angel Cardona, a union carpenter, says it's about supplying food and confidence following the death of a 73-year-old who died after a wall collapsed on him, along with others who were injured.
It's the infrastructure failure. It's the home failures.
As you can see, some of the boxes already are filling up. El Maestro's is inviting anyone with a donation to stop by next week, anytime between 5 and 8 o'clock. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And thank you, Arlene. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We want you to stay tuned because we're taking a quick break. But when we return, we're going to talk to attorney David Lesch about some new laws right here in New York. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Praise the Lord. I'm Evangelist Barbara Mayo. I have a program called A Great God. I come on every Saturday at 3:30, channel 70 and 36 on Fios. You need to catch me because it's a program to encourage, to lift up, and if you don't know anybody that haven't heard about the program, tell them about it. They'll be encouraged, for God is good. God bless you.
And thank you for staying with us. In New York City, there are some new laws going into effect within this new year, such as rent laws and employment law issues. We want you to be connected to it. So what can we expect with these new laws? And the question is, how can they affect us? So here now, giving us more information and providing insight on these topics is attorney and host of Today's Verdict, my friend, David Lesch.
So, buddy, I missed you last time.
I know, glad to have you.
But I have a couple of statutes I want to talk about today, particularly how it's affecting the court system itself. So we're going to talk a little bit first about the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Acts of 2019. That was the sweeping reform legislation that took place in June of 2019, basically taking a lot of power away from the landlords in the city and giving it to the tenants.
Right.
Basically, in terms of deregulating an apartment, rent control, rent stabilization, how much the landlord could charge, how easily the landlord can have you move, the type of renovations the landlord can make, and then charge you back on your rent. All these really were covered in the act. But what really wasn't discussed and hasn't been discussed is really why I'm here today, is talk a little bit about your ability to bring a lawsuit or actions as a result of the overcharge. Most people don't understand that. They understand that the laws have been changed, but what recourse do you have if it turns out that the landlord has been overcharging you in rent, especially if it's a rent-stabilized apartment? This is very, very important. In the past, you really only had 2 to 4 years to look back to get the monies that you were owed for overcharges or for the landlord pushing you out of the apartment. You got 2 to 4 years worth. It's been changed. Now you have 4 to 6 years. So you can go back a full 6 years to get any of the damages that you have as a result of the landlord overcharging you for your ability to stay in the apartment. Now that's important because the damages are what's called treble damages, 3 times the amount. So you're getting 2 extra years, 3 times the amount each year. So that's a huge increase, and the courts are really doing this to punish the landlords who've been taking monies out of your pocket by doing renovations that you didn't really need, renovations in the lobby, overcharging you now in your rent, or just forcing you out of the apartment because they wanted to put a relative in who they haven't seen in years, or it's a really distant relative. This act, which now protects you, gives you the ability to be able to bring an action against your landlord and get a tremendous amount of money back. Now, if it's in an individual, it doesn't seem like it's so much treble damages, but if you have what's called a class action and all the tenants get together, and the tenants get together and they hire let's say one or two attorneys, and let's say you have 20, 30 people in a class, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars against these landlords. So the landlords are really at a disadvantage now when you're going to court, which leads to the next part of the act where lawyers are involved and the court system is involved, and that involves discovery and your ability to go into the landlord's office and go through all the records to see what it is that they've done to the apartment and whether or not they're really in compliance. In the past, they could only go back 4 to 6 years. Not anymore. The courts have ruled that you can go back all the way to when the actual unit was deregulated. That could be 10, 20, 30 years ago. You can go right back to so if the landlord doesn't have those records, you're really at an advantage as a tenant. And that's very, very important, because now what a class action attorney does is he finds, let's say, 20 or 30 units in a building. He asks for the discovery of all the units. Landlord may not have all the discovery, or the landlord may have sold to a new landlord. Now that new landlord may be on the hook. So this is very, very important. So
and we're seeing several cases like this.
Several
right now.
cases are coming through. There's one, Dugan versus London Terrace Gardens. This was one where the complex was actually constructed in 1931, stabilized in 1974, and then slowly the landlord was taking back the units, and sure enough, was not doing it properly. And they looked back only 4 to 6 years in terms of records, and the attorney says, I want to go farther back. I want to go all the way back into the 80s. And the judge allowed them to do that, all the way back to look, and they didn't have the records.
Right. And we're hearing landlords are definitely pushing back. They've got some lawsuits trying to counter as well.
They're trying to, we're becoming a very tenant-friendly city at this point. I don't know how much damage they're going to do in terms of overturning the act. I don't see it happening. So, all right, so that's a little bit of an update. The second statute I want to get to is the new sexual harassment statute, which is called the Stop Sexual Harassment in NYC Act. A lot of people know about it. It really comes out of the Me Too movement. It basically talks about making sure that your employees know that they have a right to bring actions for sexual harassment. These cases have gotten into the courts. There's one in particular, one particular case which basically ruled that you no longer have to prove, as a woman or a man who's being sexual harassed, that the conduct was severe or pervasive. Now you only have to show that it subjects you to inferior terms of employment, a much lower standard.
Right.
Inferior terms of employment is much different than a really severe or pervasive type of behavior by your employer. That's big.
And what are the penalties on that?
Well, you know what? You can end up getting not only your emotional damages, because let's say you start seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist because of it, you end up having to leave You're not able to find another job. I mean, you can hit the employer with punitive damages. Very, very big. Another part of the act is also, remember, the employee has to make sure that you know your rights. He has to give you the course. You have to take the class. You have to make sure that you're given all the documents. Employers must make sure you do that. And the last part of it that I really like, I think it's very, very important, has to do with the non-disclosure agreements. Many, employers think they're quick and they're smart, and they say, okay, fine, I'll give you the money for the, so that you don't bring an action against me, a lot of money, but you can't tell anybody. There's a non-disclosure. Well, the act limits your ability to do that to an employee. You have to give them 21 days from when you settle the case for them to decide what they can do it. And even if they do sign it and they say, fine, I won't say anything, they have 7 days to revoke. Makes them think about it a little bit more. And the last part of it, which I also think is important, is arbitration. A lot of these employers put in their employment agreement that if you want to sue me for sexual harassment, you got to go to arbitration. We don't go to the court systems. Why? Right. Because the jurors give a lot of money for this kinds of thing. They're very, very giving. Well, New York City courts have been knocking down that arbitration clause. Not the federal courts, but the New York City courts. Right. So these are very, very important. I mean, these two statutes are going to be affecting us for years to come, and they're starting now, 2020.
You'll come back and unpack some more of this for us in the near future.
Always
David Lesch, coming up on today's verdict, anything real?
We were talking about, sadly, the things that happen to children when they're abused in foster care, when they're abused by priests. We had a former president of the New York State Trial Lawyers on last week. Great show. Take a watch.
All right, David Lesch. All right, now, if you need any answers to difficult legal questions, David does have you covered. You can connect with him on Facebook and Twitter at Today's Verdict. And of course, you can tune into Today's Verdict on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. right here on BronxNet TV. And we're taking a quick break. And coming up, we're going to sit down with a career strategist discussing tips for goal setting. So if you haven't got your goals, get ready, get your pen out. We're going to help you. Be right back in a few.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, The Essence, here, right on the set of the The Essence Show. Please tune in each and every Wednesday at 9 p.m., Files 34, Optimum 68, and live streaming, BronxNet.tv. Or you better get in line.
And welcome back. Well, as we've entered the new year of 2020, many individuals are really trying to improve their career as well as their job performances. Now, one way of excelling in your career is to establish goals to work towards. The question is, how do you actually set those goals that you can actually reach? How do you actually keep track of them? Well, joining us today to talk a little bit more about that is career strategist and TV contributor Elizabeth Koraca, and she joins us now, and good to have you.
Great to be here, Daren. Thank you.
All is well, I hope, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Well, listen, we're talking about the new year, and we're talking about really getting ourselves together. And people come together with these resolutions, and of course, we've got resolutions. But one of those things is really about making goals. And so a little bit about the importance of goal setting.
Well, basically, you really want to set your goals for 2020. You're basically setting the roadmap for your life for the rest of the year. So you want to make this a priority. Think about, what is the vision I want for my life? What do I want my life to look like? Why do I want my life to look like that? And you want to think about creating a list of priorities. What are the most 5 important things that I want to get done this year? Then you want to write those goals down, have a mini action plan. How am I gonna do that? If I want to lose weight, how am I going to do that? Am I going to join Weight Watchers? Am I going to join a gym? And then you've got to schedule it in the calendar, because what gets put in the calendar actually is what gets done.
Some people always talk about the calendar, how important the calendar is, but really the calendar is really very important when you're talking about goal setting. Talk to us about that, and then also, how do you transition from the calendar into action?
Okay, well, that's a great question. So if you're scheduling your goals and what you need to do to reach those goals in your calendar, it's wonderful because it's a daily reminder. You're actually seeing it. So if your goals are not visible, if they're tucked into a Word document on your computer or on your phone on an app that you never open, how are you going to expect to accomplish what you want to get done in 2020? It's just not going to happen.
So what are some of the common mistakes that people do make during this time? Because, everybody's got good intentions. January comes, I'm setting these goals, and before you know it, I'm watching Daren here on the 3rd week in January, and the goals have gone bust. What do I do? What are some of the big mistakes that I make, and how can I avoid those?
Okay, what you want to do is you want to make it a priority. You want to think about, what is bothering me? What am I not happy about? What have I always wanted to do? What have I always wanted to accomplish? So if you're interested in losing that 10 or 15 pounds, make it a priority. How do I make it a priority? Create a goals document. You want that vision. You want that why. Why do you want to lose that weight? Maybe it's because you're tired of your clothes being a little bit too snug, or just generally not feeling great about yourself. So there's your why, and there's your driver. Use that why to drive you forward. Then think about it. Am I going to have an exercise buddy? Will I have somebody I'm accountable for? Can I join something like Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig? Whatever you think might work for you, you want to create that action plan. It doesn't have to be this long list of things. It can be a few sentences, but make it a priority. Have it visible. Print out your goals.
Now, Elizabeth, you talked about long lists, and I know when it comes to goal setting, some of us have long lists. I mean, more than we, can reasonably do. What is an optimum number to have when it comes to making goals? How many can we really set realistically?
It's really up to you. So, some people that I work with, they might just have a handful, like 5. Others might have 20 for the year. And a great way to break it down is really to do it month by month. So you can have your February, March, April, May, June, all the way through to the end of the year. And that way it keeps it a little bit more organized, and you can see what you need to do from month to month. Am I following through on what I need to do? If I'm trying to get a new job, have I set in my goals, okay, who are the people I need to call? Who are the people who can help me? Then I schedule those in my calendar, and I start to check it off the list.
And so if I fall off the wagon, like many people have, what do you recommend?
Okay, well, don't beat yourself up. We all fall off the wagon at some point. So you don't want to be hard on yourself, but it's never too late to get back in the game. You're never too old. It's never too late. So you want to get that right out of your head. You want to get back to looking at your goals, strategizing, thinking about what's most important to me. Again, setting that list of priorities. If you make it a priority, it will happen. For example, I always wanted to work out, and everything else would come before my workout plan. So now I've made it a priority. It is at the top 3 on my priority list. So when something happens like, oh, I should take that call, or oh, I should do that, or maybe I should run that errand, stop, dead stop. What is my priority? have I worked out in the past 3 days? My goals for this year is to work out 5 days a week, 3 gym, 2 walks. I'm making it happen because I step in and I check in with myself when I feel like I'm falling off.
Elizabeth, good information there. Want to thank you for joining us and sharing with us. We're going to get people connected to you, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Daren. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Good to see you again. All righty, now for more information on Elizabeth and her work, you can visit her website, elizabethkoraca.com, or on social media at Elizabeth Koraca. And of course, you've seen her here on BronxNet, and she's had a great career. Now she's helping people out, setting goals. Well, listen, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to learn how the plastic bag ban is actually affecting local communities. So stay tuned. We got that coming up on tap in a minute.
I was there.
I was there.
Yo estuve allí.
So many symptoms came on me all at once. Shortness of breath. I stopped sleeping.
I was getting laryngitis.
Emotionally, it was a basket case.
None of these issues did I have before 9/11.
The World Trade Center Health Program gave me hope.
You don't have medical insurance? That should not be a problem because the fundings are already there.
The doctor told me when I spoke with her, she says I could fill a room with people that sound just like you.
They were very thorough, very caring and empathetic.
When I left there, I had a plan in hand.
If you're sick because of 9/11 and its aftermath, the World Trade Center Health Program can help you.
There's no other place like this.
It saved my life.
And thank you for staying with us. Well, beginning on March the 1st, the New York City plastic bag ban, the law will actually be taking effect. Now, the ban is actually going to prohibit, the distribution of plastic carryout bags by designated grocery stores and other retail outlets in New York State. And although representatives of the plastic bag industry and environmentalists say there's some logistical issues in need to be resolved first, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Well, here now to tell us a little bit more about the ban is the executive director of the American Progressive Bag Alliance, Matt Seaholm, and the owner of Key Food Grocery Store, Salvatore Bonavita. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure. Happy to be here.
Good. So I'll start off first, Matt. Walk us through a little bit about exactly what is the ban, because we're going to experience it, but everybody may not understand fully what's going on. So give us a little bit of background.
I wish I could tell you exactly what it's going to be. In fact, it was passed last year, and now the Department of Environmental Conservation is still trying to figure out exactly what it's going to look like. Unfortunately, we're less than 6 weeks away from implementation. So right now, it looks like there will not be any plastic bags allowed. You're going to have to use reusable, and they want people to move to paper, but as it's been shown, there's not going to be enough paper bags for everybody to use.
Yeah, and so talk to me about how it affects you. You're over at Key Food, and I want to talk about Key Food. Sure. Big grocery store, right? Big chain. A lot of people coming through there. What's going to happen?
Well, there's going to be a lot of frustration to start with because customers are going to be confused. They're going to show up not having brought their own bags. They're going to be expecting to get bags there at the store and not realizing that they're going to be charged a 5-cent fee to purchase a paper bag. That's if I have a paper bag that I can sell them. And that 5 cents doesn't go to me. That goes to New York State and to the county. So I have to collect 5 cents for the privilege of them being able to use an inferior paper bag.
How's it been affecting you so far?
Well, for plastic bags, we have to put in our orders months in advance so that we have proper supply. So now the ban coming into effect, I can't purchase plastic bags for the upcoming ban coming in March. So I've been weaning down my current supply and trying to look for sources for paper bags. But that's very, very difficult to do. And paper bags are also more expensive for me to try to find.
And there's also some discrepancy about the weight of a bag.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there is a pathway to success on this. I think we've seen in a lot of jurisdictions, Suffolk County being one here in New York, that implemented a ban on the traditional thin gauge, single-use plastic bag, allowed for thicker, reusable bags based on performance to be used, a 5-cent fee on that. It worked. It wasn't a huge disruption to consumers and the small businesses in Suffolk County. And there's, like I said, a pathway for the state to follow. We just hope that they will.
About 45 days and under right now, right? So how are you letting your customers know, and what's been the reaction? What do they say?
We've got some signage up in the store. We're in working class communities, multilingual, so some folks are more aware than other folks. Generally the reaction is a bit of frustration because they know what's going to happen is on the checkout lines, it's going to take longer to get through those checkout lines. And in my store, it's on average 12 to 13 minutes to get through the checkout lane. That's going to take a whole lot longer now as people, fumble around looking for their reusable bags, the plastic bag that they used last month that they have stuck in the, the kitchen drawer. Did they bring it? Didn't they bring it? Should I purchase paper? Should I purchase a shopping bag? So all that's going to take time and extend, the lines, which means customers are going to be a bit more frustrated, and they're going to have to pay for it, whereas before they used to get the bags for free.
Yeah.
So.
And we talked to some people who've been on the street interviews before about this whole situation, and one of the things that came up is that sometimes it's taken for granted the fact that everybody has the money to actually purchase a bag, and what that's going to do for some people economically, and the choice between groceries and bags. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard.
Yeah.
Certainly. I mean, oftentimes we hear it's just 5 cents. Well, if it's just 5 cents, it's also not going to, change behavior. So it's either a punishment or it's not. So at that point, it will add up for those people that are looking at 50 cents for a grocery shopping trip, over 10 bags. It does add up over the course of a month, a year. So there's no doubt this is a tax.
Right. So where do we see things going from here?
We're going to continue to talk. There's a public hearing next week up in Albany. From there, they're going to ultimately decide what the regulations look like over the course of the next month. That doesn't help too many folks like Sal to know what to buy.
Right.
But we're going to continue to work with anybody that's willing to.
Yeah. What have you been doing, Salvatore? Because I know you talked about you have to kind of like pre-order, and now your pre-order is kind of.
So we're trying to stage for it. We're trying to purchase more of these reusable shopping bags that customers can buy, at our locations, and something like this would be $1 for them to purchase, and they could reuse this over and over and over. So we're trying to stock up on this, but even this, it's hard to meet the demand that we expect that we're going to see, because as all of New York comes online and everybody's clamoring for these bags, there's just not enough supply of even these bags. So in the short term, a lot more frustration. My costs are going to go up.
I was going to ask, yeah.
My customers are going to be more upset. I mean, just to give you an indication, a paper bag for me is going to cost me anywhere between 13 and 14 cents a bag. All right. Right now, our current plastic bags that we use, that people reuse all the time for garbage or what have you. So my current bags cost me about 2 to 3 cents. So I'm going from 2 to 3 cents to 13 cents.
Right.
And I got to charge my customers 5 cents. They used to get this for free. Now they're going to have to pay 5 cents for paper. And good luck if it's raining outside, because those bags aren't going to hold up by the time they get home.
Wow. And then you become the bad guy.
And I become the guy holding the bag, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, Salvatore, thank you for coming and sharing with us. And definitely, Matt, we'll continue to follow this, and we'll get you back. Want to know how things are going, so we can continue to follow up. And
sounds good.
Thoughts and prayers with you.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Matt and the Salvatore. Taking a quick break. Listen for more information on the American Progressive Bag Alliance. Now, you can visit bagalliance.org. We are taking a break. When we return, we're going to sit down with the program director of Advance and Earn program. That's coming up on tap, so stay tuned. We'll be right back in a few. We are back. The Mosholu Montefiore Community Center is developing a program that's actually allowing city youth to get a head start on long-term career and educational goals. And here now to share what to expect from these programs is the program director at Mosholu Montefiore Community Center, Danielle Torres, and good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of good things happening, huh?
Yes, we were actually awarded a city grant from DYCD, Department of Youth and Community Development, in which we actually closed the gap between educational and career goals.
Mm-hmm. And so one of those things that we talk about, I know, is the Advance and Earn program that you have. And so walk us through, what is exactly the Advance and Earn program?
Okay, the Advance and Earn program is catered to those 16 to 24-year-olds, in which we provide them HSE instruction for those that do not have their high school diploma or equivalency, while paying them to attend classes through either stipends or a 250-hour internship at minimum wage. And for those that have the high school diploma and driver's license, we provide them with free CDL training.
Mm-hmm. The CDL training is big these days. We got some new laws. People are required to actually have CDLs, particularly commercial vans and stuff like that. How's that coming?
It's coming good, actually. We're getting a lot of recruitment for that. We coordinated with Supertrans, our bus company, so within 6 weeks, our participants will have their CDL license.
6 weeks? Wow, that's awesome. And so also, you know, talk about high school equivalency, right? You know, you've got a program that's designed to actually help those to be able to get their high school equivalency. And for many, they just need that one chance, and you got the door open.
We provide that chance. We realize that financial hardship is a big burden amongst our youth, so it's either choosing them between working or education. So with this, we provide them with both. They're allowed to they obtain income while obtaining their education at the same time.
You got a lot of people coming through your doors. What are you hearing from people in terms of the need for services, and what kind of services are people really like gravitating from?
The need for services is never ending. With the changing economic states, people are requiring more different services. I mean, the one thing we also try to address are barriers with our social service team. We address many barriers from housing to food to whatever these participants may need.
And so what can people expect taking part in these programs?
They can expect the field of enrichment, education, peer counseling, internship, and just that network of community.
Somebody says, okay, gosh, I'm listening, it sounds kind of interesting, but I don't know if I kind of like fit. What are the requirements as far as participating? Are there eligibility requirements?
The eligibility requirements are just, they have to be disenrolled in school or employment or underemployed between the ages of 16 to 24. That's the only requirement.
So somebody says, what's defined as underemployed these days?
Underemployed is working part-time, under 21 hours a week.
Okay. And so if you do, come on out and reach out and then be able to take part.
Yes, we'll help them.
Real simple, right? That's all it is, right? So for this program, obviously this grant has gone forward. And what were the initial thoughts behind the grant in terms of wanting to reach the community and some of the goals that you had?
I mean, the grant, when we were awarded the grant, it was actually very competitive. We're one of 6 providers in New York City to be awarded this new grant. What it did, it combined the 2 programs, adult literacy and young internship program. So at first writing, it was very competitive. It took many nights for us debating what to do it, but we know that we've been around the community 77 years. So we know the demographics, we know the community's ever changing. So this was something that we knew we needed to do.
And the end goal, what do you want people to walk away with?
With a sense of satisfaction and completion, like they completed something.
We want to thank you, Danielle, for coming.
Thank you.
Want to give people more information so that way they can get connected, and if they want to be a part of the Advance and Earn program, get that CDL, we'll give it to them right now.
Great, thank
you.
you.
All right, thank you. Listen now, if you want more information on the Advance and Earn program, visit their website at mmcc.org. And we encourage you, don't go anywhere, because when we are coming back, we're learning how one organization is tackling the homeless crisis right here in our city. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in a few.
Jerome Avenue, the heart of the Bronx. This is where I grew up. Business is booming, people are moving, everyone works hard. Nothing was handed to anyone here. I've been in here to take my passport pictures. I bought flowers here for my mother. Oh, this is where I get my smoothies, by the way. Continuation. This is what we call the O, 170th Street. It feels so Bronx. Hey, my man Fonzie. We've walked up and down the corridor, nothing but love. And I'm glad to say that Jerome is home.
Did you know that brain and spinal cord tumors are the deadliest form of pediatric cancer? It can happen to anyone.
I'm not hungry. My tummy hurts.
You can help us be part of the solution.
Get in here. Hurry.
You can be part of our family.
It's okay.
Please support our mission today. Making Headway Foundation, dedicated to the care, comfort, and cure of children with brain and spinal cord tumors.
And we want to thank you for staying with us. Women in Need, also known as WIN, provides safe housing, critical services, and innovative programs to New York City homeless men and their children for 35 plus years. And here now to tell us a little bit more about the organization is Vice President of Policy and Planning at WIN, Jessica Yeager. And Jessica, good to have you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good. And when we talk about the homelessness crisis, obviously it's a big crisis that a lot of us are continuing to scratch our heads about, saying, is it getting better, any worse? But obviously for you with boots on the ground, a lot more challenging these days.
Yeah, I mean, we have we're close to record number of people in homeless shelters every night. And at WIN, we work with families. So families with children specifically. And we run 10 family homeless shelters throughout the city and do what we can to make sure that the clients that we're serving have what they need while they're in shelter and that they're prepared to succeed when they leave shelter.
And so for those who aren't so familiar with some of the services that you actually provide, let's go through a few of them.
Sure, of course. So, we're working with families every day, and we need to make sure that they are getting what they need so that they can succeed. So we have a robust income building program, for example, that works one-on-one with the parents in our shelters to connect them to jobs, to connect them to job training. We bring employers in to meet our families to help people get jobs that they can hopefully sustain over time. And if people already are working, we try to help them, go up that ladder, get the next step on the ladder. We also have childcare services and recreation services to make sure that the kids that are in our shelters are, have somewhere to go, when their parent is at work or at school, that they have somewhere to go when they come home from school. We provide childcare and also after school and camp for the kids in our shelters, so that also that they have a fun thing to be doing during their time off. And then, we also are helping families every day look for housing. So we have dedicated staff who work to help clients navigate the very difficult process of finding an affordable apartment in New York City. So, we're really thinking about what do our families need while they're in shelter to succeed, and then what do they need when they leave to be prepared to live on their own and hopefully never come back.
Yeah. High prices of rent, of course, in New York City, big challenge in getting people situated in the housing. What's it been like for you in terms of that transition, getting people, you want to provide the service, but the end goal is to get them out, right? So how hard has it been? How difficult has it been for you in getting that transition going?
Yeah. So the largest challenge that our families face is the affordable housing crisis in New York City, which is, really the other side of the homelessness crisis. The gap between what incomes are and what affordable rents are is just really, really large. Most of our clients are, we actually have a substantial number of clients who are working, but even with working, the average income is below the poverty line. Which means, for that family that's making at the poverty line, rent is affordable if it's $500 a month or less. The typical unit in New York City for a 2-bedroom is over $3,000 a month. So there's a large gap between what our families can afford to pay and where the rents are. So in addition to all the work we do with our clients, we also do advocacy work and policy work to try to push the city, encourage the city to adopt affordable housing policies that will really help meet this need.
We hear this word, rental voucher, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody who doesn't know what rental voucher is, talk to us about that, and what is actually the value of it?
Sure. Rental vouchers are a critically important tool for our clients. So what a rental voucher is a voucher that a family gets that helps them make up that gap. A family pays 30% of their income towards rent. That's what's considered to be affordable, and a rental voucher will then pay the rest between whatever they can pay and what the real rent is. So there's a federal rental voucher, but the Section 8 program, which a lot of people have heard of, unfortunately, that's a very scarce resource. So New York City created its own voucher program, which is a terrific resource for families that are in shelter. The problem that we see with that is that the rents that voucher is set at are just far below what the market rents are in New York City. We've done a bunch of research on this. There are no neighborhoods in the city where the median asking rent for a 2-bedroom is what the voucher pays for that 2-bedroom, nowhere in the city. So what we're advocating for right now is for that voucher amount to be raised, that the maximum rent that you can rent using that voucher be linked to a reasonable assessment of what market rents are in the city so that people can actually use it.
And we know that's a big fight right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, in the city, there's a lot of fights to go on. Trust me, trust me, trust me. I want to get to this point about really helping families, right? You guys have had a great impact in terms of changing lives also, right? And then on the community, I want you to speak to that.
Sure. We run 10 family shelters throughout the city in 4 boroughs, and we also provide permanent supportive housing. So we have over 335 units of permanent supportive housing for families that used to be homeless. So we really try to make sure that in all of our facilities, we're really providing the wraparound services that families need so that they can be successful.
I always ask people when they come and sit next to me about the challenges. What are the biggest challenges that you find yourself facing during these times?
I think we touched on it. The affordable housing crisis, the lack of affordable housing in New York City is a major challenge. There's not just one, but I think that is a really major one. It's really hard for families to find affordable, stable housing. And we see that families, homelessness, unfortunately for far too many people, isn't a one-time thing because they cycle through housing. They find housing and then the rent goes up and they get evicted or they're staying with family. There's this housing instability that people cycle through, which is really about the economy and about the housing market. And so that is a major challenge.
Yeah, Jessica, well, thank you for the great work that you guys do. Going to get people connected, all right? Thanks much. Now, listen, if you want more information about WIN, you can visit their website at winnyc.org or on social media at winnyc_org. Now, if you want more information, there you got it. All right, we're going to be back. We've got more when we sit down and return. We're going to sit down with a health coach discussing plant-based nutrition. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to get all plant-based when we return right after this. That's right, get to know your borough. Welcome back. CB Health and Wellness aims to mend the gap between knowing and doing by catering to each individual's unique circumstances. Now, they offer a variety of services and packages designed to provide people ways and methods to lose weight, reduce their cholesterol, reduce pain, and also have some better digestion. And joining us now to tell us a little bit more about plant-based nutrition is health coach and medical doctor, as well as the owner of CB Health and Wellness, Cecilia Basmus. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So somebody doesn't know about CB Health and Wellness, you're here.
So CB Health and Wellness is a wellness center located in Harlem. We brought the center over there just to help people from the community to transition into a better diet. The idea of the center was to just make all the people healthier and just give them something new. So what we give there are one-on-one programs in which we teach whole food plant-based nutrition. This is a nutrition that has no animal products and also has, we try to do no oil and no processed foods. The programs are one-on-one, or it could be groupal too. But the idea of all of this was not just to give only just plant-based nutrition and just tell them, okay, from now on you're going to eat all of this. Just also what we needed to do is just to help people teach them how to cook. So with the program, you will be learning how to cook with it. So we also give the cooking classes with the program, and we give cooking classes individual or groupal every month.
So a lot goes on over there.
Yes.
So we hear a lot about plant-based, and I know you gave a little bit about it, right? So somebody's watching and saying, okay, what is this thing? I've heard a lot about it. What is actually a plant-based diet?
A plant-based diet is a diet that has no animal products in it. So no milk, no dairy, and no meat products. No cow or sheep or duck or chicken or none of that. Nothing that has a mother or a father or little eyes.
Nothing has a father and mother. I like that. Okay.
Yes. And what it is what you need to increase is the amount of vegetables, fruits, grains, and cereals together with nuts. And a lot of water and exercise.
So I got somebody's watching. They're saying, okay, that sounds really good. I'm trying to get my life together. Like Elizabeth said, set some goals, try to get my life.
Yes.
Got to make this transition.
Yes.
That's a rough transition to make. I mean, if I like chicken and I like beef and I'm trying to turn around and go to plant-based, how hard is the transition? I know you work hard to get people to make that transition.
So it depends how you are medically wise, right? So if you're really, really sick and had a heart condition or had high blood pressure or hypertension or diabetes that is non-stable, so the best way is to switch cold turkey, right? So from one day to another, just throw away everything or give it to a donation or something like that, and then just start buying all the plant-based products. But if not, you can always start increasing your amount of days that it's going to be plant-based. So maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week, just to have a plant-based day of the week. The best way though is cold turkey though, just to see results. But
just stop.
Just stop and switch, yeah. And with that, just start learning how to cook at home. Yes, that's the best way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the people come to your doors, what do you tell them to switch, go cold turkey? What's the reaction?
Oh my God, and now what? So with that, it's okay, so from now on, you come to the center and 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe depending on the availability of everybody, we'll learn how to cook. So what I teach are really easy recipes that could be done in 30 minutes. So the idea is you can do something at home that it's easy to do and it's tasty. So then later on you can do it again. Because if I give you really complicated recipes, they're never going to do it at home.
Right. So something you can do at home. And so I'm doing these recipes, got the cooking piece down. What about results, right? What are the results of doing a plant-based diet?
The results are remarkable, actually. After a month, your digestion and your bloating will disappear, and then your blood pressure will be reduced. Everybody has a craving for cheese because cheese is a little bit of addictive, but after a month, that craving goes away. And after 6 months, if you have arthritis, a lot of pain in your hands and stuff like that, then it also diminishes. I have clients that will go from 8 or 9 of pain level to a 2. So that's kind of remarkable too. And also your diabetes also gets more stable. Diabetes type 2, sorry.
So people come through your doors and like you said, you're located in Harlem. Tell people where you are.
I'm located on 305 East 119th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue on the basement level. Over there we do the programs, and we also give like yoga, Reiki, meditation classes, and sound baths, acupuncture too.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a holistic center. So it's for you to come in, with some issues in health, and then come out very like relaxed and healthy.
Do you see people coming in like the beginning of the year saying, I want to start on, do this new thing? Like,
it happens, yeah. In the beginning of the year, everybody has this drive of like changing and like being healthier and stuff like that. But during the rest of the season is also changes. In the summer, everybody wants to look well.
Yeah.
But, doctors are telling all the time that you need to get healthier. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody comes every time of the year.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing a little bit about CB Health and Wellness.
Thank you for having me.
We'll connect some people right now, okay. Well, CB Health and Wellness, Vegan Valentine's Day. You can tell me about that one. Got the cooking class taking place on Friday, February 7th at 6:30. Also, the Vegan Mediterranean and Lebanese cooking class is taking place on Friday, February 21st at 6:30. Both events are at the CB Health and Wellness Center located at 305 East 119th Street in Suite B. For more information on the services provided and the tickets for the cooking classes, you can visit their website at ceciliabaspas.com or call her at 646-427-2584. So that cooking class for Valentine's Day is on the 7th.
Yeah.
So that way if you burn anything, you got a chance to get it right before the 14th.
Yeah.
Got it. I got you. All right. All right. Well, we come to the end of the show. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, do me a favor. Catch the Recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. Encourage somebody else. Optimum Channel 67. If you don't have Optimum and you're on Verizon Fios, we're on Channel 33, or anytime you can catch us on the web at bronxnet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine, on Friday. That wraps it up for us here on the set of Open. Daren Jaime telling you, make sure you keep this channel wide open. Thank you to our viewers on M&N. Good to see my sister Ann. I know she's watching, family, all the rest. Take care. God bless. We will talk to you soon.